push the fat bit, pull the skinny bit.
Goes crazy.
One of the side effects of recording velocity when you're training is you actually need a range of motion or displacement value. It is its own metric and it's really valuable for sports like powerlifting. So today what we're going to do is we're going to head down to Melbourne Strength Culture to their shiny new gym and hang out with Charlie, who is a powerlifter himself and a powerlifting coach, and sort of go over some of the nuances of the three lifts, the squat, the bench and the deadlift, and look at different ways you can become more efficient, not just stronger, in order to lift more weight. Harry. Yeah, right. Stay safe.
How crude. Look at the same cameras.
What's going on?
What are you doing today?
We're going to talk a bit about range of motion. So, range of motion is a big deal in powerlifting. You got to hit your depths, but not a millimetre more. And you got to do it in the right way. What I really want to do is get a comparison of your lifts compared to mine. How much more efficient I expect you will be.
We'll go hammer it. Done.
Easy. Let's go lift some moderate weights through moderate ranges of motion.
That's it. Alright, well, I already have the rack set up for squats. I just squatted.
Cool.
Do you want me to do a couple more ups?
Yeah, you get a couple, I'll do a couple, and then where we go. What sort of stuff are you looking for, and what sort of things are you cueing when it comes to the nitpicky? So it's getting those millimeters out of a range of motion.
The rule for powerlifting is that the hip crease needs to be below the top of the knee. So for guys that squat either too high or too low, using a pin squat where we can set the pins at the height that we want can actually be a really good way to sort of get them squatting to that depth where we're below depth, legal competition depth, but not too deep. Or even just filming it and looking at it yourself. Film from hip height.
Should we put 60 on and actually do it with a little bit of weight?
We'll go 70.
70? Right.
70.
All reds. Okay.
We have to go reds. We're doing powerlifting.
Super consistent on your range, like all right around that really low 60, so like 1 or 2 centimeters between them.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think the main thing too is with depth and like any skill is the brain loves repetitions. The more, I've been squatting low bar now for 5 years.
Was it 8 reps? Is that cardio, was it?
I'm gassed. Yeah, I was gonna say, just practice is like, the more reps you get in, the more at that depth that you want to perform at, the more consistent it'll be over time.
Cool. All right, I better have a crack.
You have a crack.
All over the place. 62, 65, 68, 67. So clearly you can tell that I haven't been practicing. We use the seats. So I always use seats with my squats.
I was going to say that too. Another thing would be potentially a box squat. With guys coming in that are real new, giving them that external cue to squat deep enough. And the other thing is too, if they're struggling to hit depth, is potentially working on that rib cage and pelvic position. So teaching them to set that, we call it the stack, rib cage over pelvis, is going to help open up the hips so they can actually squat a little bit deeper. Squats done?
Yeah.
Bench.
Don't tell Gravy. He's not allowed to know.
Well, bench press is a bit of a different kettle of fish. Bench press for a competition, bench press for powerlifting is all about reducing range of motion as much as possible. And we do that with obviously getting our chest as high as possible. So you obviously see, I don't know if people have seen some of those extreme bench press examples where they're barely moving the bar, they've got their hands the widest possible grip, and they're getting their chest up as high as possible to reduce as much range of motion. So in terms of range, I actually put my feet up on the bench and I'm wedging myself into the bench and driving my chest as high as possible.
So you're actually lifting such short range of motion that it didn't even trigger the device. 20s, 21, 22 centimeters. Super efficient, yeah. And 20 centimeters, like that is such a short range of motion compared to like, narrow grip. Like
I'm probably doing 40.
40, 50, half a metre, like the length of your arms basically. So.
That stuff's really good for your hypertrophy work, and I definitely do a lot of that in a program, a lot of that for my athletes. But yeah, for comp bench, you want to utilize, maximize how much weight you can lift by staying within the rules, which is obviously, you know, the wider you go, the less range, the higher you can get your chest while keeping your bum and head on the bench, less range of motion again. So yeah.
I better have a go.
Chest stays up, and chest stays up as you press. Chest up, perfect. Actively driving your chest up to the bench.
And in terms of range of motions,
So look, yours will be quite long.
yeah, so yeah, instantly like, yeah, bang on 32, 35, 35, 36. So longer in absolute terms, and I reckon that would be longer in relative terms as well. Like I'm not that much taller than you.
You got longer arms.
I got longer
arms.
And I don't reckon I was as wide.
You weren't as wide now.
So not as wide, not as much chest, taller, longer, like, yeah, so it's just harder work. Velocities were similar though, so we're both around that 0.4, 0.35 mark for velocities.
We'll put on some more weight. We'll
Yeah, then pack that up and we'll have a little look at sumo, yeah. So deadlifts, in specifics, the sumo, you guys are big sumo fans here?
We're 50-50. I'm sumo, so it really will just depend on the person. The way I sumo is typically wider, really reducing that range of motion and trying to keep that back nice and flat. When the back is flatter, that's where you're going to see that sticking point off the floor. When people have that rounded back, they're going to be quicker off the floor and get stuck through the middle, similar to a conventional deadlift. So sumo, we're looking at the bottom, the parallel shins into the floor from the front and from the back. From here, you don't want to be in a rounded position like so. You want to keep the chest up nice and high and be nice and flat through the torso there. Like so. It'll be interesting to see what the sumo range of motion is compared to conventional. 42, crazy.
And it was 42 for all 3 reps. They were identical almost.
Yeah.
And then for conventional, 52, 50 and 50.
Cool, so about 10 centimetre reduction in range of motion.
9, 10 centimetres between the two, yeah. So sumo takes you that much shorter. Which means more weight if you get good at it, yeah. My turn. I'm not even touching the bar. I'm not even touching the bar in this at all. So shin's touching to start, and then I've got to go out without moving the bar, like rolling the bar.
Yes,
so
as much as possible.
Yes, that's quite wide, isn't it? Yeah, right.
Yes.
All right, so I'm here. Grip it. Chest through.
Yep, chest nice and high, so aware of what you're doing. It's a new skill. Perfect. See that it's just way longer.
Yeah.
Way longer.
Like I can feel the time. Yeah. How long it's taking me to get up there. So for sumo, I was up to 60 centimetres.
And what were you for?
So 57 and 60, and then 67, 68 for conventional.
Another 8-9 centimetres.
Cool.
Crazy.
Mate,
Done. Pleasure.
That was.
Talk about range of motion.
I didn't think we could talk that long for just range of motion, but yeah, it's like
it's
there's
rabbit holes.
like as you get to such like where competitions are decided by kilos and half kilos, every millimeter will count. Like
yeah, and that's
if you can hold that position in the bottom and get your feet a little wider, so there's this much less at the top, and you can lock that out or get off the floor a little faster. That's going to have an enormous effect on your total.
100%. But then eventually you'll maximize those. But like at some point, my bench press arch won't be able to improve much more. So how do I improve my bench press? Build bigger muscles, build more volume at that 75 to 85% of my 1RM. So at some point you maximize those range of motion improvements, and then it's just about accruing more volume, building bigger muscles, and then lifting heavy shit.
That person, she was looking like, what is going on? This guy's moving.
Pulling out with no one in it.
Crazy. All right, done. I better head back on the floor.
Go get some coaching done.